In the year 2025, between January and November, India underwent a period of relentless environmental siege, lasting 334 days. 331 of those days, 99% of the year, featured destructive extreme weather. Heat waves and floods neutralized normal seasons. The human cost mounted. Over 500 died in Madhya Pradesh, 484 in Andhra, 478 in Jharkhand. Disasters claimed 4,400 lives. This is an accelerating trendline. In 2022, India recorded 295 extreme weather days. That rose to 322 in 2024. At 331 days, the window for recovery between disasters has almost entirely vanished. On the ground, this statistical surge manifests as total infrastructural collapse. In cities like Mumbai, seasonal monsoon rain has intensified into a persistent threat that paralyzes essential transit and housing for months at a time. With 17 million hectares of crops destroyed in a single year, an area larger than the entire country of Italy, India's stability is facing a direct, systemic challenge. We are counting down to a point where essential life support systems can no longer repair themselves. The driver of this crisis is the thickening of the atmospheric blanket. As carbon dioxide levels rise, they trap heat that would normally radiate into space, forcing the Earth's surface temperature into a continuous upward climb. This heat is a legacy of the Industrial Revolution. For 2 centuries, Western economies achieved rapid modernization by dumping billions of tons of carbon into the atmosphere, creating a global thermal debt that is only now coming due. Today, India's per capita emissions remain remarkably low. Despite having a population of 1.4 billion people, the average Indian citizen is responsible for only 1/8 of the carbon output of an American. While India's own industrial footprint is growing as it builds modern infrastructure, the current atmospheric saturation is primarily the result of historical emissions from Europe and the United States. This is the core of climate justice. India is enduring the most severe physical and economic penalties for a crisis it did not engineer. On the northern front, rising temperatures are destabilizing the Himalayan glaciers. These ice reserves are the primary regulators for the river systems that sustain India's entire northern agricultural belt. As these glaciers retreat, the year-round flow of the Ganga and Yamuna becomes dangerously unpredictable. Farmers who rely on steady glacial melt will eventually face a future where water security is dictated entirely by an increasingly erratic and violent monsoon cycle. To the south, the ocean is reclaiming the coastline. Rising sea levels and erosion are destroying natural barriers like the Sundarbans mangroves. Since 1990, over 200 square kilometers of Indian land have been submerged by the sea. In the heartland, the threat is lethal humidity. When North Indian humidity spikes by 10%, the human body's ability to cool itself through sweat begins to fail. In cities like Delhi, summer heat is reaching levels that make outdoor labor a biological risk. From the melting peaks to the submerging coasts, every geographic zone in India is currently under a coordinated environmental assault. In response, India is executing one of the most aggressive clean energy transitions in history. The nation is building a new power grid designed to bypass the carbon trap entirely. The progress gauge is moving faster than projected. India's goal was to reach 50% non-fossil fuel power capacity by 2030, but the country actually reached it in 2025, half a decade ahead of schedule. This rapid deployment has made India a top 5 global player in solar energy. Massive solar farms across Gujarat and Rajasthan are now providing the primary surge for the nation's industrial growth. Public transport is also being re-engineered. High-capacity electric buses and aggressive EV adoption in major cities are part of a national strategy to decouple economic mobility from localized air pollution. India's Net Zero 2070 pledge is a unilateral defense. By leading the Global South in clean technology, the nation is proving it can grow its economy while protecting its borders from the worst-case climate projections. However, high-level diplomacy at international summits moves at a glacial pace. The urgency of the 331-day crisis requires domestic mobilization at the individual level. This involves tactical choices: optimizing home energy use, supporting urban EV infrastructure, and demanding that local leaders prioritize heat-resilient urban planning and green spaces. The 331-day count of 2025 shows that the buffer period for delay has already vanished. Every week of inaction at the civilian level makes the task of national climate defense exponentially more difficult. Use these facts to demand local accountability and make informed, sustainable choices. The effort to secure India's environmental future begins with the actions we take today. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.